Ultimately, we're going to defer to the drug test results as well as blatant changes in performance in an acute time frame. The guy going from barely able to finish Deji to being able to beat Tyron Woodley in the ring. What's up, guys? Derek, MorePlateSmartAids.com. Today we're going to be checking out the drug test results from the Jake Paul-Tyron Woodley fight. Ohio just released apparently test results, even though going into the fight it was quoted by multiple supposedly credible sources that there was no drug testing, not only leading up to the fight, but even during the actual fight day itself. There was no PED testing for guys. For some of the people on the card there was, but for some people, including Jake and Tyron, apparently there wasn't. However, perhaps that is not the case. Here they say Jake was accused, I just spit all over my fucking table, but it's fine, was accused of using PEDs ahead of his Tyron Woodley boxing match, which took place late last month on Showtime pay-per-view from inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio. I hate to say it, but I definitely think Jake Paul is going to be on PEDs. A longtime MMA coach for us, Zahabi said before the fight. It exists in the world of boxing just like it exists in MMA. And I don't think Tyron will be on PEDs. I think Tyron will be totally natural. Turns out 6 fighters from the Forest City fight card tested negative for banned substances, according to Ohio Athletic Commission Executive Director Bernie Profato, including both Paul and Woodley. The problem child topped the chosen one by embarrassing split decision. Also passing their respective drug tests were Amanda Serrano, Yamalith Mercado, Charles Conwell, and Juan Carlos Rubio. Serrano retained her WBC, WBO, and IBO featherweight titles with a dominant decision win over Mercado. Might be saying that wrong, my bad. While Conwell scored a third-round technical knockout victory over Rubio in super welterweight action. Paul is expected to make his return to the Sweet Science at some point in 2022, likely against boxing upstart Tommy TNT Fury. That might come as a big disappointment to former UFC champ Vitor Belfort, who is under the impression his next fight for Triller is worth a whopping $40 million. So I don't know if that's the best next fight for him, but I mean, it's definitely going to be a bigger card, I would imagine, a better money-making opportunity for Paul than Vitor, Although as much as I love Vitor, as much as I think he's fucking sick, I don't think that it's going to pull in the same numbers. Oscar De La Hoya, meanwhile, remains the odd man out. And then if you actually go to the article citing the fact that they tested negative, you have this is basically the same details. There's been questions about whether or not the main event competitors would be tested leading up to the event, especially concerning Paul and Woodley, considering they were fighting without a title on the line. Ultimately, both Paul and Woodley submitted to fight night testing from the commission, with both athletes returning negative tests. Prior to the fight, Woodley had lobbed cheating accusations at Paul when they were doing a face-to-face interview ahead of the event. Woodley mentioned many times that he thinks Jake Paul's on PEDs. There's a lot of body language analysis during that interview where people were like, why'd Paul get all fucking weird when they talk about PEDs, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, when you look at performance metrics and body composition changes and anything that might be more insightful rather than just, body language, sure, maybe read into it a bit, but I mean, ultimately, we're going to defer to the drug test results as well as blatant changes in performance in an acute time frame. The guy going from barely able to finish fucking Deji to being able to beat Tyron Woodley in the ring in such a short time frame. Is that just, because he's new to it and he's just developing extremely quickly because he's brand new? Or is it because maybe he has some performance-enhancing substances in his system that help, his recovery time, skill acquisition, motor learning, etc.? I don't know. Let's continue. I didn't take steroids like you did, so I guess run, treadmill, cardio, Woodley said when answering about his conditioning for the fight. And that's fucking it. So very, very small amounts of details, nothing really substantial. Do we even know if this is blood and urine? No. Do we even know what was analyzed? No. Do we know how comprehensive the urine analysis was for, is it just synthetic anabolics, a very, very basic rudimentary banned substance panel that's otherwise used in fucking natural bodybuilding competitions essentially? No. I don't know. We don't know fucking anything, dude. This is not, this to me on the face seems like, yeah, actually they were drug tested, so therefore he was clean, you can stop speculating. But in reality, how elaborate was it? Does it even mean anything when it's happening right before the fight? No, no fucking sane person would ever go into a fight cranked out of their tree on Halo and fucking whatever the hell they're using to get an advantage. No one would come cranked out of their mind and let synthetics be running through their blood. So again, if you had somebody smart in Jake Paul's camp, you'd be leveraging bioidenticals, you'd be using them out of the competition before a window of time would, come into the picture where you could otherwise be subject to, 8 to 12 week out, like VADA testing or something. But again, you have a contract that's like literally dictates what's gonna happen. He knows exactly how far he can get away with this drug test shit and for how long, and he hopefully would have people in his corner that are, coaching him appropriately. And I can just imagine that he probably has somebody in the pharmacology realm that is probably advising on when to be clearing this shit. So again, when it comes to Paul and his, drastic increase in skill, his blatant, massive changes to a point that every guy that he's fought in the past, like the YouTubers are like, it's like a fucking astronomical difference between his performance outcomes then and now. It's really hard to be like, it's just, natural talents and fucking hard work when there's such a, developing knockout power. Like there's so many people too who will really, really, get skeptical when you see a guy who goes from unable to finish what many would consider to be a very unathletic, bad fighting YouTuber to fucking knocking dudes out and beating UFC champions, So I can understand the skepticism. Obviously, that's kind of what spurred my, discussion with Firas Zahabi about the, drug testing parameters and what he thinks, predictions about the fight, what we think about Paul's future, his, current uprising and whatnot, what he may be doing, other athletes in the UFC and prior drug test historical data that we can reference and whatnot. If you haven't checked out that podcast, I highly recommend you check out the Firas Zahabi podcast. It's like an hour and a half of just really good shit, in my opinion. He's obviously a legend in the sport and very, very privileged to be able to grill him on some of these hard-hitting topics and get, answers that most people are never going to fucking hear from a top coach anywhere, So ultimately, does this mean anything? Him getting drug tested, right before the event or at the event or whatever? No, you're not gonna be a fucking idiot and go into this event, with shit coursing through your veins, have metabolites of shit in your urine. You're going to have got it well out of your system to a point that you could have yielded the majority of those advantages or have it dragging into the event. Again, are you getting a biological passport that's assessing your hematology with longitudinal data? No. Do we know what his oxygen carrying capacity was like going into the event? No. He could have fucking cranked the shit out of EPO for all we know going into this fight. We have no idea what his blood work looked like. All we know is that he probably got a basic urine analysis, checking for synthetic anabolics, rec drugs, whatever the fuck, and that's it. I highly doubt he had elaborate, bulletproof, quote unquote, testing. Not that bulletproof testing is even bulletproof, but at least it's more comprehensive and can rule out, the majority of synthetics and at least give some sort of red flag if further analysis is warranted for deep diving into bioidenticals like testosterone, EPO, HGH, etc. But yeah, to me, the lack of detail, the lack of any kind of insight whatsoever, the lack of even really clear conclusions on what happened, if they were tested, when it was, to me basically screams, yeah, maybe we fucking pulled their urine at the event, after the fight or before the fight, and that's it. So does that mean anything? All the people that are like, oh, that proves Jake Paul's natural. No, it doesn't prove anything. And I'm not trying to shit on the guy. The guy had an excellent performance, regardless if it was on PEDs or not. I just don't think this really exonerates him whatsoever. This was very, very lax and very, very easy to manipulate. If you want to actually get, the respect of being a clean fighter, you would pay for, you're fucking rich, pay for year-round bulletproof VADA testing if that's what you want to do, pull the 24/7 365 shit. At least there are some fighters that are trying to do that to try and really reinforce their credibility. And it's above and beyond, USADA randomized testing, the best thing you're going to be doing in boxing, from what it appears, given the complete, not lack of scrutiny, but the relative lack of scrutiny to a point that you could fuck around in the offseason with a lot of different shit, is year-round testing with VADA. So, is he going to do that during the next one? I don't know. I guess we will see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. Much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplacemoredates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplacemoredates, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with. In the video description below, my TRT clinic, all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. Get high-quality medical oversight from doctors who understand what kind of biomarkers and diagnostics you should be getting, how to interpret those, and design an individualized protocol based on your individual needs, imbalances, deficiencies, whatever it is that's warranted. Regardless if it's pharmacology involving or natural lifestyle, dietary manipulation, we do it all. We're turnkey. And I highly recommend you check it out because having a high quality doctor in your camp is fucking critical for your quality of life, vitality, etc. And performance, perhaps. You know, some people who are have hormonal deficiencies and or, you know, blatant metabolic issues, like shit that can be rectified if you just know what to address, can have a massive impact on your ability to fucking generate wealth, your ability to have a high quality relationship with family and friends, all that kind of stuff. It all boils down to having somebody in your camp who understands this shit. So check it out. My recommendation, if you do not already have a high quality doctor, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas, I designed myself from scratch. My recommended diet model for gaining muscle and sports performance, whilst being mindful of micronutrient intake, gut health, sleep hygiene, etc. And anything else I'm associated with, including the clothing company that sponsors me, including this shirt. Definitely check out their Perfect Tanks, their fucking money. And anything else I'm associated with, it is all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.